Welcome to the Kingdom Corner. I'm Andrew, and with me, as always, is my good friend, Mr. Dale Baker. How are we feeling on this Victory Monday?
Man, there's nothing better than a victory Monday. Just sunshine, birds chirping. It's beautiful. It feels like a spring day over here in
That's right.
Maryville.
Yeah, anytime the Chiefs win, it seems a little bit warmer, a little bit brighter.
Yeah, food
Yeah,
tastes better. I
that's
mean,
right.
just
That's right. All those things. So, hey, whether they come by a doinked field goal off the
oh
field
man,
post to win it, or whether they is because you win by 25, everything still
yeah,
just seems a little bit better.
yeah,
So, hey,
oh
we're gonna
yeah,
be breaking down this game, the Sunday night matchup between the Chiefs and the Chargers for the ninth straight division title for the Kansas City
man.
Chiefs, the second longest streak in NFL history for division titles, behind only the Patriots with 14. So I
Ooh.
wish we could have a division like the Patriots did back then, but that's for another
Or
time.
the still the division's terrible. I mean, you got
And
Buffalo that's
still,
good, and everybody else is terrible. Anyway,
you,
sorry.
you got it. You got it. Hey, we're gonna be looking at all that and more. And hey, looking at some of these injuries too, with DJ Humphries comes in, but then he goes out, right? And we have all
Yeah.
these other injuries. No one's, anyways, all that and more is coming up. So come hang out with us.
Mahomes looks to throw it. Pump faking right side. He wants it. A comeback cut. It is caught by Kelsey. Touchdown! Kansas City. The game is over. The Kansas City Chiefs are champions.
All right, so Dale, the first thing we have to discuss is the offensive line play because that's the was
Yeah.
the talk going into the game. DJ Humphries comes in, gets his first start in almost a calendar year. I think it was New Year's Day or New Year's Eve that he was the last game that he played in, and so it's been almost a full calendar year he went in. How do you think he did in his first start?
Yeah, I think he did all right. I think he did better. I think a lot of those sacks were Mahomes moving up in the pocket and the rushers coming back and getting them. And so I think it's
Yeah,
going to take a while for them to figure out how they play. And so I don't think I think DJ thought he was still behind him. And then
yeah,
all of a sudden the rusher like peels off. And I think a couple of those sacks were because of those. But we still need to keep Mahomes upright. And Mahomes needs it's going to take a while for them to figure out each other and how their styles of play. So hopefully he's okay. Hopefully he
yeah.
bounces back. It wasn't too much. And so
Yeah, they didn't say anything after the game of what his injury was, and even in Andy Reid's press conference didn't even make
yeah.
mention of him. So I'm hoping it's just something that they're being extra cautious on because he's coming off that injury. But yeah, I thought he played average. I didn't think he played great.
Yeah. Which
But
one we need? We need average.
yeah, which the other side is I wasn't really expecting him to play great,
Right.
especially coming off an injury, especially never playing with Mahomes, especially
Yeah.
not going through training camp or anything. Just being with the Chiefs 2 weeks and trying to learn how Mahomes plays, how the Chiefs offense works, all those things. And so I did not have high expectations for this game, especially because of that. And I think the rest showed a lot.
Yeah.
It was I don't even know if he played average, honestly. He probably played a little below average. But that's kind of what I expected when it's your first game back and that long with a new team.
Yeah.
So I is basically what I thought it was going to be. But I agree to your point that Mahomes caused some of those sacks by running up into the pressure.
Uh-huh.
He was trying to escape, but they closed that so quickly. And the Chargers pass rush defense has been playing lights
Oh
out
yeah.
for the last month of play. Anyways, they lead the league in sacks over the last month, so we knew that was going to be a tough one. Anyways, but then especially with the rivalry between the two, so it was a lot going into that.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, well, hopefully we can grow from here. Hopefully we can figure it out by the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely something to be said about figuring out by the playoffs, and in the past, the Chiefs have done that.
Yeah, they have.
Remind me, do we know what it's like to play in the playoffs without two tackles, though? We do.
We do remember that. We did
It,
make it to the Super Bowl, and it was not a good one.
no, it's the one we try not to remember. So,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
man, yeah. If you don't have tackles that are at least can hold their own, they don't even have to
Yeah,
be elite. Just hold their
yeah,
own,
yeah.
play average. It's
Right,
it's a long season, or maybe a very short off season. Well,
right.
not off season, short playoff run. So,
Yeah.
so do you buy into this fact that the Chiefs are just getting lucky because all these games, what was it, 15 in a row now
15 in a
that
row.
they've won games when it's been by one possession or less.
Yeah.
So do you buy in that the Chiefs are just lucky, or are they really just that good and can't
Well,
close people out?
I think it's not so much luck as it's a talent. I really do believe, right? At this point, you kind of like figure out like they are so much calmer under pressure. It feels like when there is more pressure, they play well. Or better, and it's like, well, why don't we just play like this the whole game instead
Yeah, yeah,
instead of
absolutely.
holding on to it. And so, yeah, just to have the skill and the mindset, the determination to know what you have to do and then do it. So even if they were down
Hmm.
four, if they were down four instead of one, I think they would have went and scored a touchdown. I mean, I think that's what they
Yep.
would have done. Okay, this is what we have to do. Let's go do it. And so it feels like the Golden State Warriors just a little bit, where they can go on a run and get what they need. And so it's just kind of, I think Cowherd says, and I think I said this last time, but playing with their food. They're kind of playing with their food and like, hey, what can we do? What can we work on? And so it's just practice before the Super Bowl, as our good friend Nick Wright says.
That's right. That's right. So with that mindset of
Yeah.
playing with your food or, practicing with how the Chiefs are practicing though, I mean, they always
Yeah.
say you play like you practice.
Yeah.
So are we going to struggle in the playoffs the same way, or is there going to be something that they can actually do to be different in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think the mindset changes to where we don't have next week, right? It's
Hmm.
this week or we're done or we're going 1, 2, 3 Cancun, right? And
Yep.
then I know like they still have that goal in mind. Like, yes, we won the division 9 years in a row. Let's pat ourselves on the back and then let's move on because and I think everyone said like, well, we still got goals in this year. It wasn't just winning the division. It's winning the AFC championship and win the Super Bowl. So I think like having that mindset also helps quite a bit for them because they've been there and they know what they're trying to achieve. And so I think the gameplay will heighten quite a bit. I think once the playoffs get rolling. So
Yep, I agree. So, I mean, just think about last year. Last
yeah,
year they had the same problem. People say, well, they
exactly.
can't put anybody away. I think last year the only team they really beat good was the Bears, right?
Right.
And so then they got to the playoffs and they just kind of flipped that switch. And in the playoffs, you're still going to have close games because it's the playoffs. Every team
Right.
is you're going to get their best effort because everybody wants to win the Super Bowl. Everybody's not holding anything back when you get to the playoffs. No one's thinking about the next week and say, okay, we have to save this play for next week. They're just thinking we got to do everything right now to win.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you're getting everybody's best shot. And so, but even last year in the playoffs, well, a lot of those games were close. I remember that first game against the Dolphins. That was not even close. I
Not
mean, the
even.
Chiefs just hammered them down. And maybe it's because how cold it was and you got a
Yeah.
Miami team coming in there, but whatever it was, the Chiefs flipped a switch and they got it rolling again. So I think that is a big thing too.
Yeah.
Uh, but the other thing is too with the Chiefs offense, I feel like sometimes these wide receivers just aren't getting open.
Right. No, they are not. And I think it's just, it seems like those crossing routes are open. I mean,
Yeah.
D Hop was open downfield. I think Xavier was open quite a bit. And so he found space. I mean, I'm excited to see him on that big play where he stepped in the pocket and kind of, extended the drive. And so, yeah, I definitely think they're learning and they're growing. But yeah, I think they need to do more of those crossing short routes where they can get open and, those wide receiver screens drive me nuts. Those Pacheco screens, wide screens. I think it's just so hard. I think we got to get guys in space and just try to figure out and let them go from there. I think Travis Kelsey, you don't hear too much more about him being old or distracted.
Nope,
Seems
sure
like
don't. Sure
so.
don't.
Yeah, so he's playing well, and I think we'll and D Hop, man, D Hop is a blessing in disguise, right? Obviously, we don't want Rasheed Rice and Hollywood Brown to be out. But yeah, he's been a big pickup, and so yeah, I think it's going to be great. Now, I think going back to the first question about this, the luck. I mean, that was pretty lucky with the field goal.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I don't think you're trying to bank it. Usually, when you
well,
hit the
no,
goal, when you hit the goalpost, usually it bounces back out.
I would push back against that a little bit, though. I agree that you're not trying to do it that way,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but the other side is this too. I don't think that it's necessarily luck. I think it'd be unlucky to not hit a 30-yard field goal
Oh yeah. Okay. All right.
versus being lucky to make a 30-yard field
Yeah.
goal.
All right.
So I see your point, but
Yeah.
I don't know that I would say that it's luck that they hit a 30-yard field goal to win the game. So
Yeah. I didn't realize how thin those things were. I think Tarico said it's like pull out a dollar bill, and that's about how wide the posts are. Man, I thought they'd be wider than that, but man, that is
Not much.
not much there.
If that ball hits any differently or spins a little bit differently at all, that sucker's not bouncing in. I know that.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah.
it'd be more unlucky to miss that or even bounce off than
There you go. Okay. All right. I see your logic there. I like that. Yeah, I like that. That's a better way of thinking about it. Why didn't I think of that? So
I don't know.
yeah, that's a way better way
That's
of
why
thinking
I'm here
about it.
for you.
There you go. Yes. Help me.
Yeah, but I do think the other side about these wide receivers getting open.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Is the run game, right? I mean, they started that first drive and they marched down the field. They ran the ball a lot.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, you know what? Let's just pass the ball now. Let's get Mahomes and these wide receivers going.
Right.
Let's do whatever we need to do. And it's just like, what's going on here? Why are we not doing what we know we should be doing? And anyway, it drives me crazy.
Oh yeah,
that they do that. And so, I think when you get that run game going, though, it opens up a lot more for your pass game.
Yeah.
And so when you abandon the run, the defense doesn't have to respect the run. And now you got Pacheco back, and they always say, oh, we love it when we hand the ball because we get that energy off of him. It's like, well, if that's the case, then hand him the ball.
Hand him the ball.
He got 14 carries last night. And so while that's a decent amount, Kareem Hunt got 5. So between the two of those, and if you had the one by Samaje Perine, that's 20. But between 3 guys, you should be pushing at least 25, not 20.
Oh yeah. And I think like the good thing about our running backs, I think, or the positive thing about them, is they don't need like volume, right? They don't need to like get going. Like Derrick Henry needs 15 carries before he really gets rolling, And so I think that's the good news about our running backs. And so they really showed up. I thought even when they got their number called there in the fourth quarter on the drive, I mean they did what they had to do and to get the yards they needed, and so they really stepped up. And so it's like you think about it as like you kind of get nervous as a Chiefs fan, but then you stop and you just kind of think about the game. You're like, oh yeah, okay, we're all right,
Well, in that first drive, Pacheco got 5 carries. So for the rest of the game, he got 9 carries after that first drive. That is not what you want for a team that you say you trust in your running back and have a great running back and don't even have questions about that position, and then you don't hardly use him.
Right.
It just makes no sense to me. So
dude, he looks fresh too, doesn't he?
Well, he should. He hasn't been playing for a while. So
he looks fresh, man.
Well, it's like they were saying in that broadcast last night that when they were talking, it's like, man, I felt like I was missing something. I wasn't able to just run and hit people. I mean, that guy loves to play the game of football.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of these guys do, but he loves it so much that he wants to punish people when he runs. And that's why he gets so excited. He's like, man, I just got to hit someone. Yeah, let's go. Right? Just
man,
that guy.
He's a football player. He's a football player.
That's right. He is. So, all right. So the Chiefs and the Chargers comes down the wire as always, it seems like, and so now the Chiefs have a 7-game win streak against the Chargers. So,
man,
that's pretty good to have. So I did not realize that they had such a long win streak against the Chargers because the Chargers seem to always play the Chiefs close.
Oh yeah. It's so does that mean we were at the last time the Chargers beat us? We were at the game. You remember that night?
Oh, yes, I remember that Thursday night game where they went for 2 and beat us.
Yeah,
I remember.
I wonder if that was the game we were at, the last game we were at.
No, I think they lost another one since then because that was more than 3 years ago.
Yeah, that was Phillip Rivers for sure. So
yeah, so because Herbert's beat us at least a couple of times, I think. So yeah. But anyways, I'll take a win against a division rival anytime we can take it. So So here's the other thing too, with the defense. Is this? We talked about this a little bit last time, but about is the defense a lead or not? Yeah. But I think the bigger issue is the pass rush.
Yeah.
I really do. Like, there's no matter how good your secondary is, no one is that good.
Yeah.
When you don't get home on a pass rush and you give the people that much time, I mean, I can find the open guy if I had that much time.
Right.
I'm not saying I could get him the ball, but I could find him.
Yeah.
There he is.
There he is.
That's the one I should be throwing to him. And that'd be, 20 yards short of him. But hey, I could see him. And so, but I mean, they even trade for Josh Uche, who has not,
Oh yeah,
who was inactive for yesterday's game. I don't think it's for health reasons. I think it's just for
yeah,
roster spots. So they trade for this guy, and he hasn't panned out or haven't been using him or whatever the case may be. He hasn't looked
right,
anything on the Chiefs like he did even with the Patriots. So,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
what do we do? What do we do to get the pass rush going?
Now I think our defense looks bad because our offense is not putting points up. So if we were to put up 24 points, that game looks a lot different, right?
Yeah.
That game looks, or we put, even 21 points, that game is looking different, and so like I think really like our defense, I mean, like to hold Justin Herbert and the Chargers to 17 points. Now the concerning thing is all 17 points were scored in the second half. I mean, that's definitely concerning, but to hold them to 17 points, a good team, like that. I mean, their record is not bad, and so
Right.
just to hold them to 17, I think is pretty impressive on our defensive part. And so, like we've talked about, they make big plays when it happens. But yeah, we would like, I don't think they can hold them to 10 points, in the NFL because the rules. We saw the rules last night where a 20-yard play becomes a 35-yard play because Nick Bolton hits a defensive receiver, and it just adds up. But it's just like, yeah, I think our offense is not helping our defense whatsoever. And so I think then we nitpick our defense, like, well, you guys got to get, and I do think your concern is valid. We can't get to the quarterback with 4, and that's a problem.
Yep, it
We
is.
have to be able to get to the quarterback with 4, and when we can't consistently, then it just exposes our DNs, or not DNs, our defensive backs, and our safeties and our linebackers, and it
Yep.
exposes them just for a longer period. And so we got to help each other out. But does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So, both those things work in tandem together. Absolutely.
Right. But do
But
you
they
think
still,
we more nitpick our defense because our offense doesn't put up as many points? Or do you
uh,
think like,
I think it's just based on the eye test.
okay, I test,
because
okay.
because when I'm watching the game, like I just see that our pass rush is not getting home. Right,
Right.
the only time we're getting home is when the quarterbacks hold on to the ball for long periods of time.
Yeah.
And they might maybe register as a pressure at some point or whatever, but that's just because the guy's close, not because he's even about to sack the quarterback. So it's just, I mean, when you see the flip side in the Chargers where Mahomes is getting hit on almost every play,
Yes.
I
Man,
mean,
we
it's
got to stop
crazy.
that. We got to stop that.
Mahomes took more hits last night than Isaiah Pacheco had rushing attempts.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, that's not a good
That's
tandem
not
at
good.
all.
No.
So it's so I'm just basing this off the eye test. I'm looking at the eye test. The
Yeah.
pass rush is not getting home because they're not getting home. The secondary looks weaker than maybe it even is. So I'm not saying that they're an elite secondary, but they're not necessarily as bad as maybe they appear to be. So it's just, yeah, but that roughing that, or I guess not roughing, but the hitting a defenseless player against Nick Bolton, that's the one
Yeah.
I'm scratching my head the most about because later in the game, DeAndre Hopkins gets hit. Looked like about
Yeah.
the same kind of play, and nothing was called. So, and I'm not saying that you win or lose games because of rest, but I just want to be called the same both ways.
Right. 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 Right.
Yeah. So, uh, it's interesting, but Nick Bolton is great when it comes to stopping the run. He's great when even blitzing and hitting Justin
Yeah.
Herbert. He laid Justin Herbert out a couple times. He got some big hits on him, but it was not a good situation. So to start or I guess the end of the third quarter,
Uh-huh.
the Chiefs had 12 running plays total and 13 hits on Patrick Mahomes. So, or at least
Wow.
13 quarterback hits as registered. So maybe even more hits than that. But
Yeah.
I mean, going into the fourth quarter, you have more quarterback hits than you do rushing attempts.
Yeah.
That's just, it's mind-boggling to me that these things are not corrected and figured out.
Right. Yeah. And I think they're trying. I don't know. Yeah. I think they probably all love each other in the locker room, but they cannot just, they can't figure it out.
So I'm going to bring it up again. Did the Chiefs miss a guy like Eric Bieniemy? I mean,
Yeah.
he's a guy that, maybe ruffled a few feathers, but he was a guy that's going to hold you accountable.
Held you accountable,
whether
yeah.
you were on offense or defense,
Right.
he was going to get after you.
Yeah.
And
Let's
so
bring him back. I heard he doesn't have a job. I mean, let's bring him back. EB.
I mean,
let's start the campaign. I'm with you.
They're probably not going to bring him back this year, but
No, yeah.
I think it's very possible that they could bring him back in some kind of role next year.
Yeah.
Whatever they want to call it. Offensive strategist, or I don't know. I mean, they come up with all sorts of titles for guys when they want a guy on their staff. So
yeah.
I remember they had what's his Zimmerman was the guy, the former coach for for the Vikings. His last name was Zimmerman or Zimmer. But anyways,
Zimmer. Yeah.
they brought Brad, was it Brad?
Yeah, Brad Zimmerman.
Something like that. But remember they brought him several years ago.
Yeah.
After he got fired, and they brought him in. And I think his title was something like the offensive specialist, or something like that. And just because they wanted his offensive mind in the building. So when you really want a guy, it's easy to find this thing. So, but with all these things being said, the Chiefs are still winning games.
Yeah.
They're not just lucky; they are actually winning games. And so, everybody keeps jumping on and saying, "Well, if the Chiefs are going to lose some of these games, they're going to have to lose some." And it's like, well, are they?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, are they really? Because we keep saying they're going to, and yet they still don't.
Right.
I mean, they've now won 15 games in a row where it's been one possession game. So I don't know if you can keep saying, well, they're going to lose these games. I don't think that's true anymore. I think the Chiefs have proven that in these tight games, they know how to close games, they know how to finish games, and they got the talent to do so.
Yeah. And the good news is we go 3-1 to finish the season. We're first place.
That's right.
As long as the Buffalo doesn't lose anymore. If they lose another one, well, we can go to 2-2. And so, I mean, they've dropped one to the Bengals or the Lions, which they very well could lose to the Lions, would be, even more of a cushion. So we go 2-2 and we're first place. So
it'd be fantastic.
We clinched the division. We're in the first place. We're in the driver's seat right now. And that's where we want to be. I think that's a good thing for the Chiefs, and not having to we got to have Buffalo lose so we can get in. Well, right now we control our own destiny, where if we just win out, or if we win, or we 3-1, which it's an interesting schedule coming up here. It's not even.
That's what I was about to say too. I would love to see the Bills lose, because I would then actually sit my players for one of those Christmas Day games, even. Because that's the one right in the middle of a 10-day stretch where they're going to play 3 games.
Right.
And so the NFL would hate it. The networks would hate it.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm like, you're the one that put us in a schedule for 3 games in 10 days. Who does that to the NFL Super Bowl reigning champions, right?
Yeah.
And so, yet you did it, and they give us an early buy instead of a late buy. I say, well, you don't like it, give us a better schedule then.
Right.
Don't give us 3 games in 10 days at the very end of the season. This isn't like at the beginning when we're so relatively healthy and have a lot of energy. This is at the end of the season.
Right.
3 games in 10 days. And so I would love the Bills to lose, and then I would sit my players on the Christmas Day game. I really would. And then I'd sit them the last game too, right before the playoffs.
Yeah, there you go. That'd be great.
That would be my strategy if the Bills lost again.
Yeah. Well, I guess it all depends if we beat the Browns and beat Houston, right?
Right.
Yeah,
it would all depend on if you'd have to do your business too and beat and win those other games. But with that being said, that's what I would try to do if it aligned that way.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think I did look at the schedule. So the Steelers do play. They have the same schedule as we do. So it is 3 games in 10 days. So they're also playing a lot, which is just mad. It's crazy.
Yeah, well,
it's bonkers.
I'm not saying the Chiefs had a disadvantage at all.
Yeah.
For both those teams. I mean, when you're playing such a physical sport, that's hard.
Yeah, Netflix would not be happy. Netflix would be irate if I'd
be fine by it. So, well, tough luck. Tell the NFL to give you a better schedule then. So, but the last thing I want to talk about too is now there's rumors that Steven Nelson is coming into the building.
Are you going to apologize? Are you apologizing?
I am not apologizing. I'm just giving you the facts right now. He's coming into the building to talk to the Chiefs about potentially signing as another cornerback.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, a veteran cornerback who's been on his couch for this long in the season, there's a reason he's on his couch.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think he did pretty well with the 49ers, didn't he? I mean, when he played, I thought he played pretty well with the 49ers. I mean,
I didn't realize he played for the 49ers.
Okay,
I
yeah.
know he
I knew he went
played.
to Pittsburgh. He went to Pittsburgh, and then he went to the 49ers, and I thought
Well,
he played.
he went to the Texans last.
Okay, so he was at the Texans last, and
Yeah.
they released him.
Charvarius Ward is with the 49ers, if that's who you're thinking of. But
I'll have to look.
well,
Steven Nelson.
Steven Nelson, he might have had a stint with the 49ers, but he last played with the Texans. So yeah, but he hasn't been on the team this year. So they need some quarterback help just because they're so thin. They've got so many injuries, and now Joshua Williams goes down too, and so they're just dropping back there like flies. So they definitely need some help. Maybe if nothing else, just gives them another body to put back there. And hey, you know what? If Steven Nelson comes to the Chiefs and performs well, I will issue a full apology here on this podcast to him. But I need to see some improvements from him. And it's been a long time. He was with the Chiefs during his rookie contract, so hopefully he's improved since then.
Yeah.
If the Chiefs are going to think about bringing him back, so
yeah.
But the other side is, man, on that one side of that defense and the secondary, the players we got out there are pretty weak compared to who we're expecting to be out there in Jalen Watson. So it'll be interesting to see how that all unfolds.
Yeah. Well, how old do you think Steven Nelson is?
If I were guessing, like 33.
33. He's 31 years old. He played for Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Philly in 2021, and then he's played for Houston the last 2 years.
All right, there you go.
So, yeah. So 31, he's not old, but kind of old for a corner. So, it's very physical. But yeah, if he could, help with some veteran stuff, I'd welcome that. I think Najee Johnson and Josh Williams are still young guys, super young guys. And so, I think he can come in, sub in, hey, let's see what happens. I mean, I think we need some help on that side of the field.
Yep, I would agree with you. We do.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Hey, well, thanks for joining us this episode of the Kingdom Corner. We're so glad you came here to join us. This is what we need you to do, as always. We need you to follow, subscribe, like, whatever platform you're listening or watching this on. We need you to do all those things. And then do this. Comment, too. This is going to help us get this great podcast out into more people's hands and ears, and ultimately into their hearts, right? So that's our goal, Lisa. Hey, thanks for joining us. This episode is brought to you by Oh Hey Threads, where a portion of every purchase goes to support missions all over the world, one super soft tee at a time. You can get your own super soft tee or hoodie at ohheythreads.com. We'll see you next time right here in the Kingdom Corner.